Martell Holt, since no matter what, his name always manages to resurface at the forefront of the discussion. In fact, Destiny Payton makes a point that is impossible to overlook without Martell. She wouldn't even know half of these people. And what do you know? She is telling the truth. Many of these friendships and fallouts have been connected to Martell. However, Destiny was attempting to convey to him in the store that Martell is currently moving forward with Arionne Curry. Drama ensued, of course, when Tisha immediately returned to the conversation. Tisha became quite intrigued when Arionne's name was mentioned, almost as if she intended to use it later to disparage Melody Shari in order to make people forget how little her own company was accomplishing. That's how it came across, and you can't deny that Tisha enjoys saying anything disparaging about Mel whenever she can. Speaking of Destiny, she also mentioned that she ran into Lance, but he refused to look her in the eye. And it's difficult to avoid running into people in a little town with only one subway, 2 coffee shops, a strip, and countryside. Some of these men are aware that they have been acting strangely, as evidenced by the fact that Lance was unable to even look at her. Usual, Kimmy Scott was out here attempting to mediate the situation by offering justifications for the misbehavior of others. And listen, others were commenting about her costume too. It was giving Destiny's Child the impression that they were going to sign autographs outside the mall record store in the year 2000. But more important than the attire is Kimmy's continued attempts to justify Lance's actions by claiming that he was just feeling sorry. Kimmy should occasionally quit standing up for those who don't deserve it. When Destiny reminded Kimmy that she had told Lance he was seeing other guys, which Destiny described as messy, the situation at the vow renewal really heated up. To be honest, she was correct. Kimmy attempted to blame Mel for bringing it up, but isn't it ironic that whenever everything goes wrong, they all try to blame Melody Shari? It demonstrates how desperate some people are to bring up Mel's name in everything, even though she doesn't care anymore and isn't bothered. They would rather blame her than deal with their own problems, which is exhausting at this point. Let's go on to Trisha's birthday celebration, though, as it was yet another tense time. Everyone at that party owed Trish an apology, regardless of your feelings towards her. Things went horribly wrong on her birthday. Saying, sorry it got out of hand with flowers, or a simple text message would have been polite, even if they didn't mean it. They allowed it to spiral, though. Then we saw Tisha and Nell fighting once more. I laughed when Nell made a joke about Tisha bringing Big D energy and liquid courage. Since Destiny wasn't even there at the party, but she still managed to catch a stray in the shade. The fact that folks who aren't even there wind up in the queue shows how crazy this cast is. Nell also brought up Kimmy's misbehavior at the previous party, which is consistent with what many of us witnessed, that Tisha is unable to control her alcohol intake. She does far too much, gets obnoxious, and goes overboard when she drinks. Tisha was shouting in people's faces that evening, and to be honest, that never ends well. Tisha was totally out of line, but Nell and Chris handled it as coolly as they could. Additionally, Chris had the option to escalate the situation, but he chose not to, which was wise given the loud, rude, and needless ways in which males like Martell and Maurice have spoken to women in the past. Chris didn't go there, at least. But no one should be defending Tisha's actions, and she still owes Nell an apology. Then we witnessed Trish once more doing what many people detest, offering justifications for Tisha. Oh, Tisha's not always drinking, she says, as if that would make the situation different. No, Tisha continued to treat Chris and Nell with contempt. What's the worst? In any case, Tisha is most likely discussing Trish and Kimmy behind their backs. Nell protected her husband and dealt with the situation as best she could because that's what she was expected to do. Kimmy even stated this season ago that Tisha is pampered and that everyone treats her differently because they believe she is immature and sensitive. However, she is now over 40 and continues to behave in the same manner. You have to stop making excuses eventually. Jalen, meantime, made an appearance in Kimmy's workplace. I usually enjoy his scenes because he infuses the program with a serene vibe. He revealed that he received an offer for a new, well-paying logistics position in Huntsville. We all recall him working hard to help establish the restaurant. And he claimed that working at Black really stood out on his resume. Although Kimmy felt proud, it became evident that there are still problems when Morris's name was spoken. Jalen stated bluntly that Morris does not treat him with the same level of affection and care that he does his own son. As usual, Morris became defensive rather than take responsibility for that. Maurice frequently acts as though the cameras are the issue after failing to understand it. No, his treatment of others is the issue, and Jalen is perfectly entitled to voice her opinion. Since Chris Fletcher is known for showing up at people's workplaces, he also stopped by Lance's workplace to say hello. This time, he inquired about Lance's behavior with the infant at home. Lance acknowledged that his mother had offered to help and that he truly needed that assistance. But rather than resolving the matter with his mother, he went and told Chris. It's nasty now that Nell is involved. Chris made it worse by encouraging Lance to go talk to Martell Holt about being a single father, which is the worst advice anyone has ever given. Really, Martell? The same man who used a sex tape against Melody? The same man who has been hauled before the courts several times for failing his children? You're asking Lance for guidance from that person? Chris, take it seriously. I haven't heard anything so stupid in a long time. This is the portion of the video that you do not want to miss. Therefore, I want you all to pay close attention. It's crazy how Martell receives so much love and sympathy when the discussion would be quite different if she were a woman. They would be told, you made your bed, now lie in it, if it had been Mel or another woman. You ought to have made a wiser decision. You have to handle it. However, because it's Martell, he is suddenly the one in need of assistance. In the meantime, he is the one who initially caused the majority of these issues. It's annoying to see that double standard being applied on TV after. We see Nell and Tisha having their brief altercation at the coffee shop. Nell handled this with grace, I must say. She maintained her composure the entire time and wasn't hostile at all. Tisha, however, said that she had